first insights, I'm going to go back in history a little bit. So I have one kind of mega client in mind, and we were going through, and just so everybody knows, anybody who's maybe not intimately familiar with the Leading Agile model, is that like everything kind of starts with teams, backlogs, and working tested software. And I know that sounds really small when you're talking about large scale transformation, but it's really like it's the smallest instantiation of this aligning your systems and structures to your customers and markets. Right? The whole idea behind a Scrum team is that you have this group of like 6 to 8 people that owns the technology, that owns a singular business problem. They have this idea of a product owner that is feeding requirements, and you can produce a working tested increment of software at the end of the day. And what we found is that a lot of the organizations we were going into, these really, really large organizations, the idea of a product was either like super gigantic, or it was like so crazy small that like you really couldn't do anything with it. So what we started to do, maybe you can talk to this a little bit, is that rather than to try to come in and to untangle the product hierarchy or to untangle the value streams on day one, because the organization just couldn't really fundamentally see it, we started organizing around business capabilities. Right, that became the language that we would use. We would organize around the business architecture. And I remember one of the first aha moments that I had when we were working on this account together was the idea that when you organize around business capabilities, there's inherently dependencies between them that because all of these different business capabilities have to be orchestrated in order to be able to deliver something of integrated value. And there was this moment where you were talking about, once you organize around the business architecture and you form those kinds of teams, what you do is you expose the cost of the orchestration layers, and you make the orchestration layers very, very explicit and very clear to where you can see how much the orchestration is costing you. And so that gives you the opportunity to at some point be able to take the business capabilities and to kind of go like, okay, where can we get the most cost savings? Let's reorganize around value streams. So what you're hunting, I'm not sure where you're going to go with this, but what we're hunting was, there's certain things that you can do now in an early stage transformation to get it moving. But then later on, there's going to be some things that we might consider down the road once the organization has evolved. Talk to me about a little bit about that process of discovery you guys were going through there.
So early on, actually, it was early on in my Leading Agile, with the customer you're referencing. It was in my Leading Agile tenure. It was pretty early. I was still learning a lot about what we do, what we think, how we approach, the market and transformation. I actually had the inclination, due to my prior experience, largely XP, yeah. Right? Okay. So why can't we align to the value streams day one?
Yeah,
I pushed on that with this client, and what I realized, there's a really big dog attached to that tail. So not only did we have not yet the agency, the transformation, let alone Leading Agile, the transformation itself did not have the agency to go to the business and say, we're going to reorganize you, which is effectively what that meant. So the business wasn't convinced yet. A lot of people in IT weren't convinced yet. And it really was a bridge too far with dependencies and funding, and like the amount of the organization that would have had to have been changed just to make that change was profound. And it was too much, right? There would have been too much load on the organization, not enough trust in the organization, and it just would have failed. So the customer, we worked through that together, and we went and we decided, let's take the organization we have. And as I learned more about Leading Agile and how we worked and base camps and expeditions and how to do that work, how about we just take the organization that's largely ad hoc today, not super trustworthy, and we just get it to actually be able to say what it's going to be able to do and do it.
So be predictable.
So get to predictability.
Yeah.
And the focus was, let's get to a rational system of delivery. That we can trust, we can count on. We put something in, we know what we get out.
Trustworthy system that you can delegate into.
Yeah, that's really what it was. So that became the focus, and it turns out that was also an immense undertaking.
Yeah, huge, multiple years just to get it to the point of stability.
Thousands of people, but it was also doable. It's
Mhm.
something that everybody could sign up to.
Mm-hmm.
So still a very large wave of change,
Mm-hmm.
but also very successful at the end of the day using our approach. So it was enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it wasn't too much.
Yeah.